If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. It's a beautiful sunny day here in northwest Florida, but they're doing a controlled burn, so you're going to see this orange glow tint like you can see on my face right now. You can see it's just amazing. You can smell the pine burning. But anyway, that's not the point of the video. I just wanted to point it out. Before I get started on this video, I want to make sure everybody's clear that I do not make videos so I can complain about the lifestyle. That is not what I'm doing. I enjoy the lifestyle, and I hope to continue to do it for many, many years. But this channel is to talk to you about the realities of the lifestyle. There's so many channels out there talking about the fantasy and how great it is, like, for example, the controlled burn. It's just fascinating to see all this smoke in the distance and ashes falling down. You know, the sun is blotted out from the smoke. That's neat to see, especially when you've never seen it. But in order to see that, there are things you have to do and deal with on a regular basis that is not being talked about. And one of the things that is not being talked about that I have started to really take notice of in the 2 years that we have been out here is this lifestyle is getting more and more popular. And I'm starting to see things I've never seen before, people trying to attempt this lifestyle. So 2 years ago, when we did one of our test runs, we came down here to Florida to this specific campground. There was nobody here. One fella showed up after we got here. Didn't talk to us hardly at all. And we were there 3 or 4 days. We may have said hi once. I came back to this campground later that year in October. And again, nobody who was living this lifestyle as a nomad was in this campground. So again, you know, very relaxed environment, nobody around. And so as we have traveled, we've noticed that more and more people are starting to come to these campgrounds. And so for those of you that are like me, an introvert, and you're expecting to come out here and be in solitude and enjoy the lifestyle and peace with nobody bothering you, that may not be the case anymore. Now I know everybody says, go out to Arizona in the BLM and you'll millions of miles of BLM that you can stay in. True, but you can't stay in that BLM over the summer. So you go to the National Forest, and sure enough, there's going to be people in the National Forest. It's going to continue to grow. If you think about it, if 1 million people come out here to start living this lifestyle, which is not unreasonable to think, then that's one person per every mile of the BLM, right? Well, if 2 million people come out here, that's one person every half mile. And it continues to grow like this. And we're seeing, like I said, exponentially growth. So it's not like this is going to take a lifetime for this to happen. I think it's happening very quickly. Throughout our adventure, if I start way back in the very beginning, we were probably into our adventure 4 months before we met our first full-time RVer. He lived in a van, and he was in the same campground, stayed to himself, never talked. It was just me and Carolyn and that guy. Occasionally on the weekends, a camper would show up. We spoke one time, and then we went down to South Carolina, and we met one full-timer there too. She had a Class B RV, and again, she never spoke a word. We never talked to her. She stayed on her side of the campground, and you know, we didn't feel like we needed to intrude. She tried to stay hidden from everybody. It was just her and her dog. Then we went down to Florida, and we stayed in Florida for in this national forest for 3 months during hunt season. And there again, we only met one full-time RVer. But again, he stayed to himself over there on his side of the campground. We stayed to ourselves. He talked to me one time, asked me a series of questions about the national forest, and after that, we didn't talk anymore. A few days later, he left. The next time we saw a full-timer was in South Dakota, and I'm not sure, again, he was very dedicated to it. He was very enthused. He'd been doing it for 6 months. He had not sold his place yet. And he even said while he was talking, he wasn't sure if he was going to continue. It was a lot harder than he expected. And that was the last time we talked to him. Well, we've come back down to Florida here. Again, we've been to this campground several times. And we've never met a full-time RVer in this campground. A few days ago, this gal showed up in a van, 29 years old. Then shortly after that, another guy showed up in a van, and he's there. Now this campground, I must explain to you, officially has 4 camping spots. But there's a lot more people in there. And they can do that in these national forests. They don't really restrict how many people can go in there as long as you're staying in the camping area. And so they're just packed in there as tight as they can go. And then there's a travel trailer. So we already got 3 full-time RVers in this 4-spot campground. Well, then we got ourselves a score. So there's number 4. And then we got a couple who live in their car. And then finally yesterday, a Class A showed up for a free boondocking campsite that nobody ever came to. It now appears to be like a RV park. Dogs running all over. I mean, it is a regular neighborhood now. Again, I'm not complaining, I'm explaining. For folks who are like me. Now, I know everybody says that you can't be on YouTube if you're an introvert. Well, that's not true. I am an introvert, and I'm a pretty hardcore introvert. I could go months without talking to anybody. And so for any introvert who's going to come out here, be aware you will have to learn how to socialize. Even if you're coming out here because you are an introvert, when you get out here and it starts to get busier and busier and busier, people who are not introverts, and I'm not criticizing anybody, but people who are not introverts do want to socialize. Just this morning, the guy came over from the Class A, sat down at the picnic table and started drinking coffee with me. How you doing? You know, and just wanted to conversate. Well, for me, it's very awkward for me to have a conversation. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.